Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. Welcome back to PM in the AM, a comedy podcast designed for listeners of all ages. The show where we make you laugh out loud no matter where you're listening. Each week we take a deep dive into some of the funniest internet topics we can find by doing debates, tier lists, researching crazy purchasable items, and sharing some insane news stories. My name is Porter McNeely, and I am joined by co-host Blake Bushman. And our sole goal is to bring you around a half hour of humor to lighten your day up a little bit. Blake, how's it going?
I'm fantastic, man. I'm noticing that good looking shirt you're wearing
Ooh,
there. That looks nice. A little PM in the AM shirt for
I
summertime. I
know.
love it.
It was actually a really exciting week for the podcast. So we got our second merch drop. We went and picked up the hoodies, and I threw in some extra T-shirts this time because they were on a great deal. We're going to be getting into how you can get your very own T-shirt. And if you're not watching the video, go check out the Instagram because we posted a picture. You can find that at PM in the AM podcast. So make sure you go check that out. But really exciting. We got some hoodies out to some fans, and they are loving them so far, Blake. I've gotten nothing but good feedback on them. So, you know,
Yeah, we've had multiple people that have ordered their own hoodie. They got it, and then they decided like, oh, hey, my wife or my friend or like my next door neighbor saw me wearing this hoodie and wanted one too. We have multiple people reach back out to double dip and get another hoodie or another T-shirt. So it's exciting. We're really excited to hopefully get some people wearing some PM in the AM
oh,
merch too.
absolutely. And today, actually, I was listening to a different podcast, and I heard the first kind of ad geared towards Mother's Day, Blake. You know, Mother's Day coming up in May. You don't know what to get your
Oh,
mom this
yeah,
year? I'm sure she would love a PM in the AM podcast hoodie because who wouldn't, right?
absolutely. Yeah, my mom has one. She loves it. So as far as my mom goes, mother
So this
approved.
case study is 100% accurate.
Yeah, don't worry about the sample size because as far as our study goes, we're batting 100. It's great.
That's awesome. But yeah, we do want to announce we've got some exciting things coming up this week, Blake. And like I said, we printed some extra t shirts. So we are going to be doing our second ever giveaway. And this time it's going to be a little bit different. So we want to give you guys the chance to win and rock a PM in the AM t shirt. So to be able to get one for absolutely free, all you need to do is share your favorite reel that we've posted to your personal story and make sure you tag us at PM in the AM podcast so we can see that you did that. Um, you can do that anytime from Monday the 17th, which is the day this episode is released, all the way up until the 20th of April at noon. And you will be entered to win a free t shirt. We have them in black and we also have them in a nice sky blue. So we're really excited to be doing that giveaway. We hope to see you guys enter. And we're going to be giving away 3. So if you do choose to enter, you know, your chances are probably pretty dang good. Like, I think about 12 people entered the last one. So, you know, you got a good shot, 25% chance you're walking out in a brand new t shirt. So I would recommend doing that.
Yeah, so go scroll through all the different reels that we've posted. You know, it's high quality content. You'll have a good time doing it, and then maybe you'll end up with the shirt. So yeah, absolutely enter. You never know. You have a chance of winning. We're giving away 3, so I feel like the odds are in your favor.
Absolutely. So we're excited about that. Blake, I want to go over the show a little bit today. We've got some exciting stuff coming up. We're going to be doing another bracket this week, and we have the worst excuses to get when somebody is late. You know, you're planning a big party and waiting on somebody, and they show up an hour late. They are going to give you some sort of excuse. It's going to be one of these classic ones that we're going to be getting into later. We're going to be making a bracket about it, and I think it's going to be pretty dang fun. And then
Yeah, and it is at this moment right now that I'm realizing that we interpreted these drafts very differently. We'll get into it.
oh
Um,
no.
in my head, I was the one giving these excuses, so I
Hey,
was really trying to help people out.
well, I mean, I have given multiple of these excuses on the list, and that's how I thought of it. I was thinking, like, was late to that. What did I say? Oh, yeah, super late to that. How did I get out of that one? So most
Oh,
of these were Porter McNeely originals. So I kind of agree with you on that. I was just presenting it in a different way, I guess. But either way, it's going to be a lot of fun.
oh man,
But
yeah. I think we're not gonna have a lot of a lot of things on the same list. We'll get into it later. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, but before we do that, we have another listener submitted question this week, and this one comes from Instagram, and we are going to be answering Blake. What is the most useless household appliance? So I'm going to let you go ahead
Okay.
and think through this one. What do you have as the most useless, Blake?
Yeah, right off the rip, one thing comes to mind, and it's technically not an appliance, so I might be cheating the system here a little bit, but it is like a kitchen use tool thing, and that is
That's all the same,
the
right?
ice cream scoop. Yeah, yeah.
What?
The ice cream scoop is useless, and it's for one reason alone. First of all, all you need is a spoon because I'm taking the whole carton with me. I'm eating it straight out. If I'm not, because sometimes you gotta relax a little bit, and that's okay. But you just need to use a spoon and scoop it out anyway. So I don't see the point of an ice cream scoop. So that's what I'm going to say is probably the most useless. But really, it's just because I want to eat it straight out of the carton. So
Okay, I mean, that's an interesting opinion because have you ever gone to get a nice scoop of ice cream? Maybe let's say your freezer was on the highest setting and you put the spoon in there and go to spoon it out and it just bends the spoon all the way back. That's when the ice cream scoop is 100% necessary. If you
Porter,
don't have the
Porter,
nicest
Porter, Porter,
silverware,
you gotta have a little bit of patience. This isn't about the quality of the silverware. This is about you not waiting 13 and a half seconds before you start scooping in there. You can't just you can't just pull it out and start going to town immediately. You gotta, prepare things a little bit. Hey, I want some ice cream. I'm gonna go ahead and take this out. I'll let it relax for a minute while I do my thing, and then I'll come back to it.
I'll be
Then you can
honest,
just scoop in. It's nice and soft.
I was not expecting a patience lesson from you about ice cream. I thought for sure you were going right in with that spoon, probably breaking about 10 spoons. But here's another situation that I think even more so requires the ice cream scoop, and that is you go and get a shake. Let's say, you go get a nice large shake somewhere and you only eat about half of it. You decide, this is a good shake. I'm going to take it
Mm.
home and freeze it. That ice cream is always like 8,000 times more difficult to scoop the next day, and it turns into like an absolute block. You've got the plastic spoon in there, but it is stuck. You try to pull it out, it breaks. You don't have patience. That's when the ice
It's
cream
like you're
scoop is
the
necessary.
What's that sword? What's that sword that's
Oh, the sword and
stuck
the
in the
stone.
stone?
The sword and the
Yeah.
stone. I mean, I don't know if the sword
Yeah.
has a name. Maybe like
No, no, no. Isn't it
Gerald,
like
the sword.
Excalibur or something?
That goes
Gerald.
way over my
That's
head.
no, I'm pretty sure it's Excalibur. I could totally be wrong, but I feel pretty confident in that. That's exactly what I feel like when I'm trying to yank that spoon out of the ice cream because I know it can come. I'm feeling it. Like it is moving just a little bit, and then half the time what happens is I pull out the whole thing. I'm holding onto the spoon
Yep.
still, and you have just a giant block of ice cream still on the bottom.
Never thought of it though.
But
That's
one
like a
problem with what
popsicle,
you were
isn't
saying,
it?
I guess so. The problem with what you were saying though is that you can't get an ice cream scoop down in there. So even then, the ice cream scoop is still pointless. You need to just go get a metal spoon and then you can eat it.
No, I think you really hit on the patience part with the ice cream, and I think that's why an ice cream scoop is necessary for me because that is something I'm lacking. I think about ice cream,
Mm.
I go get ice cream, I take ice cream out, immediately want it. I'm not waiting around for 4 to 5 minutes while that thing warms up enough for me to be able to scoop
Well,
it.
here's the difference between me and you. I constantly want ice cream, and I know you're more of a sorbet kind of guy. So
You nailed that one, absolutely.
so I think we need to stick to the experts when it comes to ice cream. But when you want ice cream all the time, it's okay to wait and really enjoy the experience with just a metal spoon. You'll be okay.
I don't know why, but being called a sorbet kind of guy just felt like the absolute worst insult I've ever taken in my
It's a
whole
pretty
life.
big it's a pretty big insult, and I don't even know why. I'm not entirely sure what sorbet is because I definitely meant sherbet.
Yeah, sherbet
But
sorbet.
if
I'm
it
all about it. Let me tell you. But that just made
what
me feel like
what is sorbet?
it's like a berry ice cream. It's always like fruity. It's not going to be so sweet. It's going to be a little bit more tart. I think it might have like the real
Yeah,
fruit in it versus sherbet that doesn't have the real fruit in it. But I'm a
Okay, because I was
fruity
going to
guy.
ask
What
what's the
can I
difference between a
say?
sherbet and yeah, yeah. I mean, you definitely seem like a sorbet kind of guy to
Dang,
me.
that
Wait, so
hurts.
is sorbet like Italian ice? Like
Mm,
when you go to those places and they got like the it's not shaved ice, but the Italian ice is that a sorbet?
yeah, but it's maybe like a little bit more towards ice cream. I think that's probably like the next. It probably goes snow cone, shaved ice, Italian ice, sorbet. That's probably the rankings.
Sherbet is the sherbet's on the
Correct.
after
Correct.
that
And
then.
then you get to ice
Okay,
cream. So,
yeah, ice cream. I mean, ice cream's in a whole different tier. It actually tastes
oh,
good. That's the difference.
no.
So,
Well, after having my man card shredded, I might as well, do my own justice on which household appliance I hate and I think is absolutely useless. And for one reason alone, I am going to take the pasta maker. And this could maybe be
oh,
a hot take for
okay.
several reasons. But first of all, I know myself, and I'm going to go get some pasta out of the cabinet and just heat it up. I'm not looking to make my own dough. And second of all,
Oh, okay. Hold on. I gotta take a time out here.
you're not a pasta maker. There is
You
no chance.
no,
Oh,
no. I didn't even know what a pasta maker
oh okay.
was. I was. You said pasta maker, and I'm sitting here like, is that not just called a pot? I was so
Is that boiling
confused.
water?
Because okay, we do have here. I've never used
Mm,
it, um, because I always forget about it. But we actually have like a microwave pasta thing.
what?
It's just you put the pasta in it and then you microwave it, and I guess it cooks it perfectly
Yeah,
every
with
time.
nuclear
I always
radiation.
forget. Yeah, probably. You get a little bit of radiation on the side, but that's no big deal. But I never use it. So I was thinking maybe that's what it was. And I was like, okay, I mean, I make pasta all the time and I never had to use this thing. So I guess that is the most useless. But you're just talking about like you take the flour and the eggs and you mix it up. You're just making homemade
Yep,
dough.
and then you
So this is an appliance. You just
no,
don't
no,
like
no, no, no,
homemade
no, no.
pasta?
I think it's good, but then you run it through. You got to smash it as flat as humanly possible. You roll it out like 14 times, and then you run it through this thing that cuts it into like fine grained pasta, and then you put it into the pot and the water. The reason
Okay.
I
So answer me this. If you're making pasta and you don't have one of those things, what do?
I don't know,
You just cutting it up with
but
scissors?
let me tell you why we don't have one anymore.
Okay,
And
I'll
that
let
is
you go.
because, probably about 3 or 4 weeks after we'd been married, we got one of these on our registry and we decided to break it out. We decided, let's have a nice little
Hmm.
Italian cooking night and Porter's going to make some pasta. So we make the dough. I sit there and
Oh,
roll it a couple times. I think my wife helped me roll it out and we thought it was flat enough. We thought it was moist enough that it was going to be able to go right through the pasta maker, which is like a hand crank thing. And so we put the dough in, and I start cranking the thing, and the entire thing just starts like breaking apart. Like it's just like one piece at a time, just bing, 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 and just pasta maker comes undone on the first pasta I ever made. And I didn't know that the inside of the pasta maker is sharp. It's like I don't know if it's like a step down from razor blades, so it can cut the
well, it
pasta.
is cutting the
I
pasta,
had
right?
no
They
idea. I'll tell you what, I had no I thought it was making the pasta because that's what the name implies. So I'm holding all these like trying to hold all these knife pieces together. I take the thing apart to try and fix it, and I spend probably 2 hours trying to fix this stupid pasta maker before I decided it was the most absolute useless household appliance. And so that is why I would definitely put that one up there and not recommend pasta makers to anyone.
Hmm. I hope who gave you that pasta maker for your wedding listens to this episode and it's just like, oh,
I actually don't know who gave us the pasta maker. We were very grateful for
even
it at the
better.
time and still very
Yeah,
grateful.
sounds like it.
And I really hope they
Sounds
don't
like
listen to this
it.
because after I broke it, I put
I
it
don't.
back in the box and returned it.
Oh no, that's great. If I had given you that and it had broke, I would have felt bad. But then knowing that you just put it back in the box and returned it, I would not have felt bad at all. I would have been like, no, that's exactly what it was made
I
for.
mean, I
That's,
kind of disregarded the 8 times it said do not try to take apart, and I took it apart. And so after that, I was like,
ah,
let's return it. And so we have
nah.
returned it. Haven't made homemade pasta since, at least me personally, and I think I'm a better man for
Was
it.
it good though?
I
Was
think
it good?
it was good, but the noodles were like really thick. It didn't press them down thin enough because it all
Uh,
kind of got stuck in the machine. So
Okay.
but I think it can be good.
I've seen people use
Hmm.
those. I just didn't know it was called the pasta maker. I just assumed it was called like a noodle cutter because you're not. It doesn't make the pasta. You're right. The name is very
Yeah.
misleading. I would have taken that out of the box and been like, okay, where's the directions to have this thing make me pasta?
Where
I
do I
would
put the
have been.
boiling water into this thing?
Yeah. I'm holding the raw noodles in my hand. Okay, where do I put them?
Where does this turn into mac and cheese? No, yeah, if it was called a noodle cutter, I would have saved like 10 micro cuts on the tips of my fingers. So, very misleading, very dangerous product. And so, if you do have one, make sure you're using it safely. But
Yeah.
that's about the only.
There is
Okay.
there is one more thing that I've thought of, and it's because there's a better solution, and I'm hoping you feel the same way. And that is the slow cooker,
Is that like a crock pot?
like a crock pot. Yeah,
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 I mean, I had it on my list just because I never used one in my life.
yeah. No, and here's the real reason for it. They're dumb because nowadays, I think that was like back in the in ancient times when when the cavemen were hungry and they needed something in 8.5 hours, they'd throw it in that, and then they'd try not to starve in the meantime. But in modern society, we have something called like an instant pot or a pressure cooker. Like these things can get it done. They can take this 13.5 hour meal from a pressure cooker or from a slow cooker, and they can get it done in 13 minutes. Like there is no reason for anybody in 2023 to be using a slow cooker or a crock pot or whatever. You can get the exact same result in no, not joking, like 1/10 of the time. It's unreal that there's still people that are rocking crock pots out here. I don't understand it.
See, I really don't have the expertise on crockpot. I just put it on the useless list because for me, I mean, I think I'm more of the useless when it comes to household appliances and sometimes kitchen appliances than the actual appliance themselves. And so that's probably why they don't get used that much. But yeah, I mean, the only time I put anything in a crock pot, I think it was just because I was asked to, but I didn't really understand what was going to happen to that. And I think it does take a couple of
Yeah.
hours. So,
It takes all day. I remember, like, this is something that it was really common when I was a kid. Like my mom, she was going to work. She'd throw everything into the crock pot and then just let it cook all day. So that when we got home, it was ready. Okay, but then you have to wake up early to put everything in the crock pot. That's a pain. Or you do it overnight and let it go even longer. I don't know how that works, but essentially it's a pain because imagine you could just get home if you want to prepare it in the morning, that's fine. Then you just cook it right then and there. You get the same meal, but you don't have to have it sitting on your counter all day, stinking up your house so it smells like beef for the next 3.5 weeks. Like, just do it in an instant pot. It's so much better.
yeah, I mean, I don't personally have an instant pot or know how to use one, but I think you may have just offended a lot of
Oh,
crock potters there. So, we,
well, they need to get with the times. Like that's on them for being stuck in the past. All right. If you were driving a horse and buggy around, you would still be dumb, even if you get offended. All right. You, the crock pot is the horse and buggy of like the car world. Okay. There's a perfectly good car sitting right there. Stop it with your horse. Okay.
all right. Well, I think you just shredded maybe 2/3 of the recipes that my mom uses. So, before Blake can offend anyone any harder, we are going to go ahead and cut this segment off. Thanks for sending in this question. If you want to hear a question that you have answered on the podcast, make sure to DM us on Instagram or Twitter or wherever you follow us, and we will be happy to answer it. We are going to be right back debating the worst slash best excuses to use when you're late. And so don't go anywhere. We will be right back. And we are back. We've got another morning drive debate for you, the segment where we take insane topics found on the internet and I mean this week found in my brain and we we draft. We each are going to have four picks. We're going to be alternating and we are this week drafting the worst excuses to hear when somebody arrives late to your party or the best excuses to give when you're the one arriving late. I think as Blake interpreted it.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting bracket because I do feel like we went two different directions with this. Mine are a little bit let's just say out of the norm. Not
Oh
all of
no.
them. I'll try to I do have a 50-50 split. So I might have to swing into the more normal ones to try and compete a little bit with yours.
I
But
can't wait to hear yours because Mine are kind of more in the normal category, is what I was thinking, because I
Okay.
am pretty sure we have exchanged these excuses back and forth to each other, depending on who was late. So I can remember a couple of circumstances where I was like, oh, yeah, because of
Mm,
this, man, we were late. And let's just say it
yeah.
wasn't actually because of said circumstance. I don't want to give away anything that I'm going to be picking because, Blake, I believe this week it is your turn to have the number one pick. So I'll go ahead and let you run with it, man.
Yeah, so I got one, and this is the first thing that came to my mind when we talked about this. And this probably isn't even on your list, but it is the best excuse to give when you are late, and that is
Mhm.
I have diarrhea.
Oh,
And
am I remembering you using this?
I've probably used it in the past. Here's the good thing about it: when you tell somebody that you have, some juicy toots, just the double-sided dragon, you're going to not have any other questions. Like if you tell somebody something like, "Oh, hey, this whatever happened," there will be follow-up questions. Not for
Yeah.
diarrhea. Nobody asks questions about your diarrhea. So, and then if it's like, "Oh, did you eat something?" I don't know. Like you can just say I don't know to any questions that there might be, but odds are there's not going to be anything, so I feel pretty good about it. You can whip that out at any time and you're home free.
Well, I think there is a follow up to that question. Not saying it's a bad pick because I think it's a good pick because you're right. You don't want to get too much into the details, but I would be like, food poisoning related, over eating consumption of sugar related, or what?
Yeah,
What do we
there's
got
not.
going on
I have no idea, but it is rough. And then conversation's over. Like you don't
here?
follow up again. You might get
That's
one
true.
question, but it's not something that you're gonna have to like get caught in your own lie, which is what's really important to me because it's you know I'm gonna say that and that I can stick to that story. I can excuse myself halfway through wherever I'm at to just really double down if I need to.
All right, great pick there, Blake. I agree. Definitely hard to ask a lot of questions and prove them wrong on that one because you're not going to be wanting to follow them into the facilities to find out. You're going to be steering clear of that. All right, so with my first pick here, this is tricky because I feel like there's a lot of them that I have that are mainly even matched, but there's one that I have pulled more than any other one, and so I am going to be taking the I was stuck in traffic
Mm,
because I mean, while you can have some follow up questions, words like congestion, accident,
the,
bottlenecking, there's a couple of words you can just kind of throw out there to get them
the
off your
the
case.
the problem with the traffic excuse is you have to hope that you were going to that person's house or just that the other person wasn't going the same direction as you because it works great until you're like, oh hey, let's meet at the restaurant, and then you're both going that same direction and one of you gets caught in traffic. Like that's where the excuse starts to crumble, is because you better hope that you live way far away from where everybody else is at so that you can whip out that there was traffic.
No, that is definitely fair. I have been known to, whip out the traffic excuse even on drives as short as 5 minutes,
Oh,
just
wow.
because most likely people aren't going to call you on it. That's kind of a risky play, but I think that one personally is the best. But you're right. You got to be careful. You got to know where you're coming from, know where you're going, and you got to throw in a few of those keywords, and boom,
Yeah.
you're going to be clear.
First thing I do when somebody says there's traffic, I'm whipping out Google Maps. I'm looking it up. I'm seeing what the expected delays are. I'm calling them out. That's
Yeah.
all right. My second one here, I'm gonna go to a more normal one. This one isn't actually as much of an excuse as it is a way to get out of trouble for being late. Let's say you're at work and you have a meeting, starts early in the morning. You woke up a little late. You know what you do? You just go grab some donuts on your way in. Nobody questions it when you show up with
Oh,
donuts. You walk in, you say, "Hey guys, sorry I'm late. I was getting you donuts." Boom,
that's amazing.
everybody's happy because it's not that you were late because you didn't wake up on time. You were late because you were trying to do a nice thing, and I think that's what's really important.
And this to even level it up more, you know exactly what kind of donut is the supervisor's favorite. You say,
Oh yeah.
"Man, I got there at 7 a.m. and they told me that the double chocolate deluxe hadn't come out of the oven yet, was going to
Ooh.
be another 30 minutes. So I sat there and waited because I knew this would be special for you. And so I'm sorry that I'm 15 minutes late, but here you go, man."
Oh
That's
yeah,
a
you
good one,
can.
Blake. Wow, that's really good.
Yeah, so feel free to use that at any time, and I hope nobody from my work listens to this in case I ever need to bring some donuts in.
Blake has on his Google Maps marked like the three donut shops from
Yeah.
in between his house to the place, and he knows exactly how much time it will take and
They
which donuts to
they
get. I
know
like
me
that
when I
one.
walk through the door. They're like, "Oh, did you wake up late again? No problem. We'll get you a dozen." Just
That's a really good one, and it kind of almost hit on two of the different excuses that I have, but I feel like you kind of messed those ones up for me because you gave a
nice.
loophole to them. So, man, this is tough. So I'm with my second overall pick. I am going to take I lost my keys because
Oh,
in this situation,
been
how are
there.
you going to prove that you did not lose your keys? I mean, as long as you don't use this excuse all the time, it might actually happen to you, and you might actually need to pull it. So don't misplace your keys because then this lie is going to catch up to you
Yeah,
eventually when
he
you
starts being the little
lose your
boy who
keys
cried
every single
wolf.
day. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
no,
I mean,
that's a good one because I lose my keys all the time. It's a real problem. I got to the point I had to put one of those little trackers on my keys so that I can just press my phone and it will ding them because I would lose my keys constantly. So I can't blame anybody for being in a spot where they lose their keys. It is kind of one of those things that it's like, okay, you're late and you're also dumb because you lost your keys. but
yeah,
but I mean, I've
I
used
mean,
that one
especially when the
multiple times. So
yeah, I was thinking of a work experience where it was a Saturday morning and I was running a little late, and that on top of that, I lost my keys.
oof. Yeah, that's it. Always
But
happens when you're already late. That's the real problem with losing your keys. Is it never happens when you have plenty of time. It's like I need to head out the door 5 minutes ago and now I can't find my keys. So that may not be the
yeah,
reason you
that
were late, but you can use it. So that's a good one. I'll give it to you.
definitely a good one for sure.
Yeah.
What do you got
And
next, Blake?
now I've kind of run out of normal
Oh no,
normal
that
excuses.
was quick.
Yeah, I had two and neither of them were particularly normal. Um so I'm gonna go with this one, and it's I got breakfast at Taco Bell and had to change my pants.
I think that kind of goes along with your first one.
Yeah, no, it does. It's side by side. It just goes into a little bit more detail because then people are
Gosh,
like, "Oh, Taco Bell. I mean, he couldn't help it." That's
you're not telling me you have the courage to actually use that excuse, though, going
depending
anywhere except to like your close friends.
depending on the situation. And here's the thing: is I feel like oftentimes nobody's gonna believe it. It will come across as a joke, and then it will be like, "Okay, that's pretty funny. Come sit down." Like a lot of
You
these,
know,
I'm imagining I'm at work, and I'm imagining I walk into the meeting. I'm like, "Sorry, guys, breakfast at Taco Bell. Had to run home and change my pants. You know how it is." I feel like they would just laugh it off, and then nobody would question why I was actually late.
so I'm actually that reminds me of a situation that I think we brought up a couple times on the podcast, and that is, it was like a high profile religious event, which was actually my wedding, and Blake was late. I really wish you would have used that excuse when you walked in, just as Blake paused the entire ceremony. I wish that's what would have come out of your mouth. Oh, sorry guys, I went to Taco Bell on the way, and I had to go home and change my pants. That would have been an epic
Ironically, that's
use of
not
that
far
excuse.
off from what actually happened. Do you remember? Do you remember why I was late?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was something to do with the fact that you put your white shirt in the washing machine and forgot to put it in the dryer. And so then instead of just wearing a wet white shirt, you decided to go buy one instead.
That's exactly what it was. It was something like I had to wash it. There was a stain on it. I couldn't show up with a big old stain to your wedding. I was like, I'm gonna wash this real quick, and it took so long. And then I tried putting it; just would not dry. And I didn't want to show up looking like a soggy fish. So I just decided, I was like, okay, I might be able to run and still buy a shirt. And I would have made it had I been able to find a shirt my size without having to wander around the store for 15 minutes. The place turns into a maze when you're trying to hurry. So I eventually found a shirt that was my size and didn't even try it on. Just busted out the door and changed in my car on the drive there.
So I can't believe you actually almost found a time where you used that excuse. That's pretty impressive,
Pretty
but
close, pretty close.
definitely would have been different if you actually used the Taco Bell part. All right, with my next one, that kind of reminded me of another one that I want to take here, and that is, oh, I'm sorry, I was talking on the phone and I got distracted.
Oh,
The phone call
important
distraction.
business.
Yeah, it could be important business, could be, talking to your parents, grandparents, you know, just with anybody that you haven't talked to in a while, old friend, something important going on. You had to take a phone call, and that's what caused you to be late. I think you can use that in almost any situation, and maybe some follow up questions will come your way. You should kind of be prepared for that, but I think most likely you're smooth sailing.
Yeah, I feel like what's really important with that is that people will assume it's an important business. It probably isn't. You don't have that many important things happening all the time, but people are going to assume like, oh wow, he was late to this. That must have been really important to him. And then you just be like,
Yeah.
sorry. Then you just be like, sorry, it's personal. I don't want to get into it. Boom. Like people can't ask follow
Yeah.
up questions when you say it's personal. It's like one of the unwritten rules of humanity. When it's personal, you don't even ask. You just let the person do what they have to do. Take 3 weeks off, go take care of it. It's personal.
Yeah, you don't really want to know. That's kind of just the conversation killer in general. Oh, what's going on? Oh, it's personal. Oh, okay. You do you, man.
Yeah, no. So that's
That's
great.
why I'm taking that one.
It's even better to not only when you're late, but also if you need to leave, you just take a call, walk out the door, and then you come back in.
And you're just gone.
Guys, I'm sorry, I gotta run. Something came up. It's personal, but thanks. And then you can just dip. You can do that whenever you want. And guess what? It's personal. They can't ask questions about it. That's
Good
great.
point.
My last one here. Oh man, I gotta decide. I got a lot of let's see what I want to do. I'm gonna go with something that is great, and it's I heard somebody talking smack on you, so I had to beat them up.
All
Imagine.
right, this one's going to require a story.
There is no story. I've never used this one. But I'm
This one
imagining
would
I'll lay out the situation. Okay, let's say I'm going over, you're throwing a house party, Porter. I'm going over to your house, and on my way there, whatever happens, I'm late. I show up and be like, dude, I'm so sorry I'm late. I was telling somebody I was coming over here and they started talking crap. So I had to put them in their place. And so, I was running a little bit behind. And then, odds are you're going to ask who it was. So I'll have to throw somebody under the bus. But you know what? As long as I come out free,
it's kind of a flattering one depending on the situation. You're like, "Oh, you fought for
yeah,
me?"
yeah. How are you going to be mad at me when I just beat somebody up for you? Like, I did. I did the most heroic thing. I defended your honor when you weren't there. You're welcome. Do it for your boss. Somebody said you weren't the best boss, so I had to show them what's up. You can use this all the time, and sure, you might break some other people's relationships, but with you, your relationships will be fantastic because everybody will think that you have fought for them.
You just tell everybody, "Oh yeah, I beat up that person," and everybody just thinks it's true. Like,
Yeah.
man, this Blake guy, you got to watch out for him. He's a real fighter. But that's an interesting pick. I'm definitely going to say yours were a lot more original than mine, and I think that's going to just trend's just going to keep going here with my last pick. And I am going to take car trouble as the
Mm,
final one. I took lost keys before, and now I'm going to take car trouble. Maybe it's a cold morning. Oh, yeah, my battery's dead. I had to get a jump. It took me a little while to get going, whatever. I think car trouble, as long as you're not like, oh, yeah, transmission went out and then your car's in the parking lot somehow or something. It's
Yeah.
got to be something minor but an inconvenience. You can't go all in on yeah, it's a complete loss and then outside your car's just
I have a story.
sitting in your assigned parking spot.
I have a story about this.
All right, let's hear
And
it.
I encourage everybody that if they're ever in an unfortunate situation, like they got into a car accident, or their car has some serious issue, that you can take a picture and portray that issue pretty easily. I recommend you do so because I have a picture of an old car that I had that I got into an accident. It's pretty beat up, very easily. I mean, it's totaled, and I have a picture of that car. To this day, I have used that picture multiple times when sending it to, say, a professor in school. Be like, "I'm sorry, I won't be able to make the quiz today. I got into a car accident. Is there any way that
Oh
I can
no.
take this another day?" I'll send a picture of the car. I mean, I got the proof in the pudding right there. I don't know what they can say. So I have used that multiple times in my life, and I probably will continue to do so because it's fantastic. Because I feel like with
Wow.
the minor issues, it's always just like, oh, well, that's convenient. But if I have like hard evidence that something went wrong, I feel pretty good about it.
The next thing we need to do is take you to a staged hospital and put a fake neck brace on you, get a picture of that,
Ooh,
and you're
that's
good to go
good.
for life.
Yeah, I
But
just got
I'm actually shocked
emergency
that you've done
surgery.
this. Have you? So you've never tried this twice on the same professor, right? It's
Oh
a one and
no,
done
yeah,
each semester.
you got to really gauge when you wanna miss, and it's also important to match up the weather on the day because the day that it happened, it was a pretty sunny day, so I don't want to do it in the middle of a blizzard and then send a picture of my
Like,
car in the middle of May and have it be
hmm.
sunny. So that's important. You got to be smart about it. But if you can line it up, if you can get kind of an overcast day, try to encapsulate all different seasons in one. That's a pretty good option. Maybe you're a wizard at Photoshop, brighten it up, darken it a little bit as needed. But yeah, it's fantastic. I highly recommend it.
I'm stunned. I am stunned that the eighth overall pick seems to be the best excuse that Blake has used out a couple of times, and it seems like it's gotten him a couple of free passes days out of school.
Yeah,
So there you have it.
there has been a time that I have just completely gotten out of doing a quiz because they're like, "Oh
Just
no,
focus on your
that's
recovery,
awful.
Blake.
I'm so sorry. Like, are you okay? You know what? Don't worry about it. I'll just, I'll give you like the class average or whatever." just and
You're like, class average, my neck hurts, professor, my
why
back hurts. They're like,
don't
oh,
you add
you're
a
right,
couple of points
100%.
onto that? Yeah, that would be great.
A point for every stitch I got. Oh, that's amazing. I'm impressed by that one. I have to say, I think if people get this far into the episode, I think that car trouble is going to
Yeah.
win because of how great that story was. So
Yeah, you're welcome.
very
That
impressed by that,
really
Blake.
helped
I
out
think
your excuse.
honestly, that really rounded out the bracket well. We've got some great excuses on there that we will have you guys vote on starting Tuesday the 18th on Instagram. So make sure you're following us again at PM and the AM podcast. We'll put those on our story. We'll have you guys vote for a grand champion, which excuse is the best slash worst depending on the situation. So we're really excited for that. And Blake, before we get out of here, I just wanted to make another little announcement. This year we've set a goal. We're trying to get to 100 5-star reviews both on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. We're currently at 40 and in the 30s on Spotify. So we need some help. So if you guys are still listening and have enjoyed this content, please head over to your preferred listening platform. Leave us a 5-star review. It's greatly appreciated and will help us share the show with others. Also, if you can, share the show with a friend, brighten their day, help them find Blake's amazing excuses in case they're in a situation where they might need one. But Blake, you got anything else for the listeners before we head out?
No, I think I've said enough to get me in trouble already.
That's what I was going to say. But it's been a great episode, Blake. Thanks for all the stories and great content. And to the morning crew, we will catch you guys next week.
Peace out.
Congrats on making it all the way to the end. We hope you enjoyed the show. You are now officially part of the PM and the AM fan base, the morning people, and we are super pumped to have you here. Now that you're a part of the crew, please share the episode with a friend, and make sure to check out the rest of our shows and social media content for more hilarious brackets, crazy questions, and an overall great time. Thanks for listening. It truly means a lot to us, and we'll catch you guys next week.